عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصاب أبي عبد الله الحسين عليه السلام. أيها الإخوة والأخوات، Aushura is about love, logic, and liberation. It is time to gather during these 10 days and nights to express our emotions, but at the same time reflect on Aushura and use our intellect. And this is something I'm going to explain a little bit later. To express our passion in a logical way and not in an extremist way. First, we believe that showing sadness and crying for Imam Hussein has foundation in the Quran and the Sunnah. This is the Quran that mentions the suffering of the faithful. إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت till the verses وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت. Like the Quran is doing majlis and martyr, majlis azaa. For whom? For a girl at the time of Jahiliyyah who was killed by the Juhal, the pagans. Subhanallah. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. The first question on the day of judgment, after the شمس كورت نجوم كدرت بحار سجرت وحوش فحشرت نفوس زوجت. After all of this, the first question, why those innocent girls were killed? This is the question. If the Quran questions the innocent death of some girl at the time of Jahiliyyah whose fathers were even mushrikun, pagans, what about the girls and boys of Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the children of Messenger of Allah? How come somebody can say, no, they were killed, now it's finished. Why the Shia get together? Why you cry for them? But the Quran cries for Madlumin. When Allah says, قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ إِذْ هُمْ عَلَيْهَا قُعُودٌ وَهُمْ عَلَى مَا يَفْعَلُونَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ شُهُودٌ وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا أَن يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. Ashab al-Ukhdud, they were a group of corrupt who set a fire بالوقود with oil, a strong fire, and then they sit down around the fire and they take the mu'mineen one after another and throw the faithful inside the fire, and as they are burning, they are just watching them and doing nothing. And they do this crime against the faithful just because they have faith, because they defend the truth. So the Quran is a role, there is Majlis Azza of Ashab al-Ukhdud that they put together and fire against the faithful. You see, again, it's exactly like the verse is talking about the Israelis now in Gaza, that they're talking النار ذات الوقود إذ هم عليها قعود وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين شهود. Exactly what the Israelis doing. They put such a huge fire there, huge fire by air strikes, and they put the innocent inside that fire, and they are قعود, they are قاعدين, and they say, aha, we won the war. They enjoy it. And they are doing this revenge against the faithful. And Allah is saying that He is going to take care of them. Exactly. So this is Majlis Azza fil Quran. So don't say, why you have Majlis Azhar for Imam Hussein? Allah already had this in the Quran. There is another time that Allah talks about the Madlumin who were killed. وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن نَبِيٍّ قَاتَلَ مَعَهُ رَبِّيُّونَ كَثِيرًا فَمَا وَهَنُوا لِمَا أَصَابَهُم فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَمَا ضَعُفُوا وَمَا اسْتَكَانُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الصَّابِرِينَ. Talking about the messengers who went through persecution and torture and murder because they were right, but they stood against batil, against falsehood. They did not show any weakness. They stood strongly with their message, patiently, and they did not submit to batil, to evil. And Allah does honor those who went through this suffering, whether the Anbiya وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُمْ مَعَهُ رَبِّيُّونَ كَثِيرًا, those Rabbaniyun, Mu'minun who were killed with the Anbiya, they are honored in this verse. So why not about Imam Hussein? So why should be a big deal if we get together and we cry for Imam Hussein? After we know that La yawma ka yawmika ya Abu Abdullah. There is no such a day in the history of humanity like the Yawm of Aushura. That is the most tragic day in history of humanity. So why not? Why should be a big deal for somebody to cry for Imam Hussein? Especially the hadith says, ما جفت الدموع إلا لقسوة القلوب وما قست القلوب إلا لكثرة الذنوب. When there is no tears in someone's eye, when we cannot open the gate of our eyes and the gate of tears, and don't make that connection and that passion in our heart, that means that our heart is so hard. And the hearts get hard when we get selfish, when we become sinful. لِكَثْرَةَ الذُّنُوبِ. And this is why in dua we said, اللهم إني أعوذ بك من قلب لا يخشع ومن عين لا تدمع ومن دعاء لا يستجاب له. I take refuge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the dry eyes that no matter what may happen against humanity, they have no feeling, no passion, no tears. And we tell those who are against crying for Imam Hussein that not only in the Quran, but even in the Sunnah, when the battle of Uhud was over, and Prophet Muhammad returned to Medina, and he saw that there are a group of ladies, they are fil buka, they are crying because their husbands were killed in Uhud. And Nabi alayhi salam, he looked around and he was so sad, and he said that everybody has somebody to cry for him. وَلَكِنْ حَمْزَةَ لَا بَوَاكِ لَهُ. What happened that Hamza, who was tortured and who was killed in the most tragic way, nobody cries for Hamza. And then those ladies got embarrassed and they forgot about their husband, and they came and they started crying for Hamza, Sayyid al-Shahada in Uhud. And this became a sunnah that when somebody lost someone from the family, they would come and they cry for Hamza first and then for their own Shahada. Now you go to Mecca and you go to Uhud, and if you want to cry for Hamza, even now there are some juhal. They say, don't cry for Hamza. Don't even say salam to Hamza. That is shirk. Is harakat al-takfir. No, we learn from Ahlul Bayt, and Ahlul Bayt, whatever Ahlul Bayt said, they are saying it from the Holy Prophet. It's not from them. Hadith Abi, whatever I said from my father, and my father from his father, and to the Prophet, and from Jibreel, coming from Allah. Allah is the source of the expression and the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt. When they said, Amir al-Mu'mineen said, talking about the Shia, he says, يَفْرَحُونَ لِفَرَحِنَا وَيَحْزَنُونَ لِحُزْنِنَا وَيَبْذُلُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ وَأَنفُسَهُمْ فِينَا. When we are happy, our followers are happy. When the Ahlul Bayt are sad, their followers, the Shias have. So there is nothing wrong with showing buka and opening the gates of tears of our eyes and express our passion and love for Sayyid al-Shahada every day and every night, especially in Aushura. But the point is, brothers and sisters, that our tears for Imam Hussein should be based on our understanding of who is Imam Hussein. So we need to make a connection between al-mawadda and al-mahabba. We need to make a connection between our minds and our hearts. We need to make a connection between the physical eyes and the spiritual eyes when we look at the story of Aushura. And this is what the Quran says. وَإِذَا سَمِعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَى الرَّسُولِ تَرَى أَعْيُنَهُمْ تَفِيضُ مِنَ الدَّمْعِ مِمَّا عَرَفُوا. When they listen to what the Holy Prophet said, when Rasulullah recited the Quran, they started crying. But this crying, this buka, based on mimma arafu. This mahabba, this mawadda, this love, this passion are based on mimma arafu, of their understanding and ma'rifat of the Quran. They know the importance of this message. So it's a passion, but it is logic. It is emotion, but it's intellect at the same time. But you know something, brothers and sisters, when we talk about Imam Hussein, we do not need to exaggerate though. Exaggeration. You know, when somebody is totally beautiful, he doesn't need too much makeup, right? I mean, it's already beautiful. Why you make up too much? The story of Imam Hussein by itself is absolutely beautiful. We do not need to put more cosmetic on this beautiful face of a story of Aushura. It's already naturally perfect. We don't need to lie about what happened in Karbala, because then we are making it haram. And Quran said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَفْتَرُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبَ لَا يُفْلِحُونَ. They cannot get salvation. There is no need to change the history and exaggerate and la samahallah saying something that's not true. Because Imam Ali himself said, Allahumma inni barihum min al-ghulat. Those who exaggerate, because exaggeration is coming from ignorance. When somebody is ignorant, exaggerate and change and goes to extremism and gets lost. We have in Dua A'udhu Bika min ilmin la yanfa. There is so much information that's made up and not useful. Not useful. You know, I remember somebody passed back home was spending so much time that when Shem جلس على يعني صدر الحسين فجلس على صدر الحسين أو وجلس على صدر الحسين. Now he was like making 1 hour of talking between فجلس على صدر الحسين وجلس. شو الفرق بين الفاء أو و؟ Yeah, there are cases there is a difference. Arabic is an amazing language. In certain ayat, there is so much difference between waw and fa. But in this case, Shem jalasa ala sadr al-Husayn. You want to say fa jalasa or wa jalasa. You don't have to spend like 5 hours talking about fa jalasa wa jalasa, and somebody says this and somebody says that. And it's the same about other extremist things that we see about Aushura. I was talking the last 2 nights about this tatbir, that there are people who say, all tatbir is jais. I found a fatwa in Marja, but yajuz tatbir. Is the hit your head and, you know, with sword and with somebody knife and let the blood comes out and show, you know, love for Imam Hussein. So, well, عندي fatwa, مش حرام, هذا جائز. Okay, even if it is يجوز, لا يعني يجب. He said jaiz, yani it's permissible. But it didn't say you have to go and do it. There are so many things permissible in the world, but you don't want to try all of them. Somebody said that, no, even I found somebody said it's mustahab. Well, even if you find an alim who said it's mustahab, it still doesn't mean wajib. Why is it that among all the wajibat in this world and all mustahabat in this world, you chose only one mustahab And you are so stubborn that I have to do that, even if some marja said it's haram, I want to do that. Because this is mustahab. Well, why you don't go to Salat al-Jum'ah? That's wajib. Why you don't go to Salat al-Jum'ah? Huh? Why you don't pay your khums? Isn't it wajib? Why you don't pay your zakat? Isn't it wajib? There are so many wajibat and you don't care. And now you found one mustahab. And you are so much crazy about that no, I have to do it. And especially, I mean, you go on internet, just put tatbir in English or Arabic, doesn't matter. And you can find hundreds of sites of showing this in YouTube, that when the non-Muslims really look at those scenes, it doesn't help us at all. So even the marja who said that tatbir is mustahab, even if you find somebody who said jaiz, no marja ever said wajib, by the way. Even those who said it, that permissible, they said with one condition, if that doesn't harm you. And we know that when somebody uses grama and save it, it's harmful. What do you mean harm? It doesn't harm. It does harm you physically. But even if it does not harm you physically, it does harm your faith, it does harm our image, it does harm the atmosphere of Islamophobia. The enemies can use that. That is also harm, and we have to be careful about that. There is a verse in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَقُولُوا رَاعِنَا وَقُولُوا انظُرْنَا وَاسْمَعُوا وَلِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. It's interesting that in this verse, there is a story that one day the Prophet, peace be upon him, is giving a lecture in the masjid, and somebody said, Ya Rasulallah, ra'ina. Ra'ina. You know, sometimes you are talking to somebody, you want to show off and, just throw a word. Somebody said, Ya Rasulallah, ra'ina, ra'ina. Now, ra'ina in Arabic can come from ra'iyah. الرعية بمعنى المراعاة. راعنا يعني يا رسول الله, if somebody is old here and ladies have babies, for example, or somebody is tired, take care of us, maybe make the lecture shorter, maybe that's one meaning of ra'ina. Or ra'ina means that Ya Rasulullah, you are talking too fast. Can you little one by one, slower, because we cannot follow. So sometimes Prophet, he has short time and has a lot to say, so he says it very fast. So somebody says, Ra'ina, means Ya Rasulullah, consider we can't follow, you are talking too fast. Ra'ina. But Ra'ina also can come from Ra'ana, not Ra'ya, Ra'ana. It comes from Ra'ana has a very bad meaning, means fool us. Fool us. Ra'ina means Ya Rasulullah, fool us. Now, the munafiqeen in Medina, when they heard that the Prophet was talking and somebody said, Ya Rasulullah, ra'ina, they said, look at this guy, look at this Muslimin. They tell the Prophet, ra'ina, fool us. Means deceive us, say something that we go to bed and we get foolish, so we don't have to be aware that much. We don't want to know that much. Just fool us. Say something that, cosmetic, that, at that level. You don't have to be too deep for us. Allah says, you see, you use this word and some people abuse the word. Be careful. So don't use ra'ina. Instead of ra'ina, qulu anzurna. Means, Ya Rasulullah, look at us. Look at your audience. You see that some people cannot follow. Maybe you want to look at your audience and speak slower or speak shorter or whatever. That means, well, Ya Rasulallah, unzurna, look at us. Don't say ra'ina, because the word ra'ina, the enemies can use that word against the Muslim community. It's the same thing. If there is anything that the enemies of Islam can use it, whether it's tatbir or whatever else, then the Muslims should be very, very careful. There was like a movie in Europe that they had something, I don't know if it was from Iran or from Lebanon, somewhere else, that there was the scene of takfir, and they said, These are people that psychologically they have problems. They enjoy to hurt themselves. This is kind of illness that, you know, some people psychologically, they enjoy to be tortured. And this is why these people do. They use all this propaganda to say negative thing about Muslims. So we have to be careful. Yes, buka and tears and emotion and love are wajib. واجب أخلاقي واجب يعني روحي. But to say things and do exaggeration, the things that didn't exist, and bring makeup for something that is already beautiful is not necessary. What we have to do is what Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, من أحيا أمرنا رحم الله من أحيا أمرنا أحيا وأمرنا. We have to give the hayat, revive, bring awareness and enlightenment about the message of Ahlul Bayt, to honor their message, to honor their mission. This is what Ahlul Bayt expected from us. Even when we do the buka, yes, كن باكيا للحسين إن كنت باكيا لشيء فابكي للحسين ابن علي فإنه ذبح كما يذبح الكبش. The way, in a trivial way that they dealt with Imam Hussein, make everybody to cry. But then look at the message of Imam Hussein. What is it that Imam Hussein loves? He said, إِنِّي أُحِبُّ الصَّلَاةِ. Subhanallah, on the day of Aushura. His salat is qas, right? Because Imam Hussein was in Karbala for 8 days. He arrived in the 2nd day of Muharram, and he was killed in the 10th day of Muharram. So he was not there even for 10 days. His salat is qas. 2 rakat. 2 rakat salat al-dhuhr. He want to do it on time. Waqt al-salah. In the middle of Ma'rakah. And then he says, say the adhan. Oh, the adhan is not wajib, adhan is mustahab. But Imam Hussein يهتم حتى بمستحبات الصلاة في ظهر عاشوراء subhanallah. And the whole 2 rakats, if you count the words, almost 40 words. I mean 2 rakats, the hamd wa surah and the sujood wa yani ruku, put together 40 kalama, almost 40 words. For each kalama, there is a new arrow, a new shooting. 40 times Imam Hussein and those who are protecting him and standing before the Jama'ah, they were targeted 40 times for each word of the Salat. But still they did not give up. This is what Imam Hussein was killed for. This is what Imam Hussein loved. He didn't say, إِنِّي أُحِبُّ التَّكْبِيرَ. He said, إِنِّي أُحِبُّ الصَّلَاةِ. But you know, on the day of Aushura, we come, we listen to majlis, we eat the harisa, and goodbye. And then after Salah, we don't stay even for the Salah. What kind of message is this? That somebody come and even tatbir and kill himself and blood all over, but the time of Salah doesn't stay for the Salah. What kind of message we are taking from Imam Hussein and from Aushura? We are following those that وَإِذَا رَأَوْا تِجَارَةً أَوْ لَهْوًا انْفَضُوا عَلَيْهَا وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا. They see the trade, they see the business, they shopping, they sale all over on Friday, and they left even the Prophet. But then there are ashab, among ashab al-Hussein, that they did not do that. They stood and they were killed during the Salat, and the last moment when Imam Hussein's Salat is finished, they said, Ya Abu Abdullah, awafaytu. Did I do my job? Because still I feel guilty, I did not do enough. This is mawadda, brothers and sisters. And this is al-ma'rifah that we need to know, that Imam Hussein says, Ad'u ila Allah ala basira. This was one of the ayat he used to recite a lot between Medina and Mecca and Karbala. He used to recite ayah, فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ. Be resisting towards injustice and towards corruption. So next time when we say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fa'afuza fawzan azima, we have to be very careful about this statement, that what we really mean, that I wish I was with you, O Imam Hussein, so I could reach the salvation. Well, you want to be there? Already we have a Karbala. كل يوم عاشورا وكل أرض كربلاء. What is going on in Gaza is already a Karbala. Is Ashab al-Ukhdud, they put this fire and that burning the innocent women, children, babies. And anytime they have an excuse. They are saying, well, we are against terrorism, but isn't it this case that you take your airplane and go to another territory and another nation, another city and another country and kill someone? If this is not terrorism, so what is the terrorism then? Just because you terrorize from the air and use a powerful bomb, that is not terrorism. But if somebody take a rifle and a small gun and he on the ground, then that is an act of terrorism. But yours is not terrorism. You are doing assassination. It is because you changed the name, assassination, target assassination, then it is halal, it's okay. But if somebody else killed, that's not assassination, that is terrorism. That is shame. And the media, the way they say it, like, well, the Palestinians are throwing, the rockets, and Israelis, they are reacting. Like Israel is doing nothing, just waiting for an excuse. In 2009, when they attacked on Gaza and they killed more than 1,400 Palestinians, what was the excuse at that time? That one Israeli soldier was taken by the Palestinians. Are you serious? You are killing 1,400 people and injuring 5,000 people because one soldier was taken? And even they could not release that soldier through that criminal aggression. So it is not really a real excuse. Anytime they are ready, in the recent days there was some negotiation between Egypt and Israel, behind the scene too. And even this, Hamas leader, Ahmad Jabari, he felt so secure because for years he didn't show up. He didn't drive on the street. But because there was some negotiation between Israel and Egypt and Hamas to bring in calmness, this guy felt more security that, now it's safe to go out. But right away, they targeted and they killed this guy. And now they are saying that, well, we are doing because of, you are sending 30,000 soldiers. And in one day, 120 times, you target this small area with airplane. SubhanAllah, 120 times, 120 air strikes on all these different targets in a small city. So this is, brothers and sisters, a real Aushura and real Karbala is going on, and all for criminal political greed, because there's going to be an election in Israel, and Netanyahu needs the Likud party to win in this campaign. Then they think that the Palestinian must pay the price for their political ego, political selfishness, and political greed. But haram alayhim, they are not going to enjoy it, because this world and this universe at the end is built on justice. Sooner or later, they are going to taste the justice of Allah and justice of this universe and justice of history. We are going to meet tonight at 6 o'clock with some other community leaders and organizations to see what can our community do. I know that in some countries like Iran, I heard that 700 cities are holding demonstration against this Israeli aggression on Gaza and some other areas, but this is not something that we should be silent. I don't care about those Arab governments that they are like now, Shaitan al-Akhras. What happened to Saudi Arabia? We don't hear anything from them. Why is it when it comes to Syria, they are like shining like the biggest revolutionaries of the world? When it's come to Bahrain, they take their military and they think that they are general manager of universe. They express so much power and passion for what they are doing. But now, this is Gaza. What happened to Saudi Arabia and what happened to Qatar? Yeah, their Prime Minister said, United Nations should do something. Well, why you don't let United Nations do something about Bahrain? Why you don't let United Nations do something about Syria? When it comes to those areas, you are controlling, you are making conferences, you are sending weapons, you are sending money. But in this case, you are saying, well, United Nations, this is how Allah wants us to know the munafiqeen. Allah wants us to know the dirt of hypocrisy in politics and in the government. Inshallah, we follow up with the situation and we'll let you know tonight if there was something new when you come for the Aushura program. We'll let you know. Assalamu alaikum ya Abu Abdullah wa ala al-arwah allati hallat bitna'ik. Assalamu alayka minni salamullah abadan ma baqit wa baqiya al-layl wa al-nahar. ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته.